Welcome to the Music with a Message series brought to you by the Seattle World Tour as part of our winter fundraiser and food drive. Today I'm sitting here with Nobi. Hey.
What's goody?
And how has your tremendously awful 2020 been for you?
Oh, it sucked. It sucked, but it for me, like, I'm like one of those people that never take time off. Like, I'm always working. And so this year forced me to take a lot of time off, which was really good for me. And I grew a lot. I was afforded the luxury to like sit in my room and work on music for hours and hours and days. And so I learned a lot about myself, I think, and that was something I really needed to do, like just a lot of internal work. And I think I'm still doing a lot of internal work. So.
Absolutely.
I'm back to work now, but I just feel like my sense of balance has been a lot better. I think before quarantine and things happened, I really had issues with just balancing like music and life and friends, relationships, girlfriend. Like it was beating me up internally. So
how long were you at home out of work?
We got quarantined. We got let go in March. Fortunately, at my job, we got a grant. So, like, I got to stay paid and everything. And I think through August. And then I was on unemployment from August to September. And then we started work again in September.
Right. You work with kids, right?
Yeah. I work with youth in South Seattle at a school-age program. So now it's like... instead of like doing all the fun things, like they come to our classroom and we make sure they're not playing Minecraft and they're in their Zoom meetings with their teachers and stuff. And then they get to play and have fun after school.
Right. And how has the process changed for you working with the kids through a pandemic?
It's hard, high key, man. Like they can't play tag no more. Like what kid that's like they're like, what the fuck, man?
Get that relief, yeah.
So we've had to get pretty creative with games. But I think just the fact that they're like still able to like come to some form of a classroom and like hang out with their friends, albeit 6 feet away from each other, is like just loads better for them than like the kids that have to stay at home and like have parents that work or something and don't like get that social interaction. So it's tough, but I think they're surviving.
Do you notice that they understand what's going on, or do they just kind of still act like children would? You know what I mean?
They're kids. They I think for most of them, it's hard for them to like really even grasp the magnitude of COVID-19. Like a lot of them haven't even had the flu before. So like they don't like, we have to reiterate all the time, like, oh, you got to keep your mask on. You got to stay 6 feet away from each other. You got to wash your hands all the time. You can't touch each other. You can't play these type of games because these are paper and we can't wash paper or sanitize it. And it's a lot for some of them, man. Like some of them, they like break down and stuff, but I don't know. I just think in the future, like that's what we're going to deal with kids, you know, like
a whole generation just like completely destroyed from the
socially
pandemic.
Distant kids, man.
It's a whole different level of trauma.
For sure. And like I really worry about it because like, I mean, if you're in kindergarten, right, and you've never gone to like actual school before,
right, and
now you're doing school through a classroom where like you gotta turn in assignments and you don't know how to read, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like there's gonna be like an educational gap for sure between this generation and whichever generation goes back to school.
And you're very vocal about talking about these types of issues in your music, and I know Fulminate in its entirety is full of talking about social issues, like all the systemic issues with racism going on right now. What was the process like creating that and then releasing it in a year where everything's come to like this cataclysmic explosion?
Yeah, it was like honestly like some divine timing, I feel like, because we made Fulminate like over the course of like 4 years. And it's crazy that when we first started making the album, we were dealing with the same issues that occurred in 2019 and 2020. And eventually, like, a lot of life happened. We remixed the album hella times. I couldn't even tell you how many. And eventually, like right around maybe like March or April of 2020, we finally felt like the album is done. You know, we can't tinker with it anymore. It's like, this is as perfect as it's gonna be. And then I was like, I want to release it on Juneteenth because I feel like it's an album about social injustice and just kind of like a self-portrait of being like a black man in America. So like, what better day to release it than on Juneteenth? And it wasn't really like, it was kind of planned, like, but not really. Like the month before, I was just like, let's drop it on this day because we knew we wanted to drop it in June. So I don't know. I feel like it was just a really divine thing. Like, who can predict like a pandemic happening? And I think it's super unfortunate that we were dealing with the same things in 2016, 2015, really forever. And in 2020, it kind of came to like a head, you know? But like, I wasn't planning on like just like some like crazy things happening or like George Floyd dying or like any of that.
The content didn't change because of what happened. It just fit the moment.
Yeah, it really did.
Crazy because a lot of the things that you say in it, I mean 100% reflect exactly what was happening, and that just shows. And I mean, we've been playing songs over and over from, you know, a decade ago or 2 decades ago, or even back in the 60s that ring the same messages over and over and over again. And I know you guys were talking about the Martial Law Band song that you were featured on.
Oh, yeah.
That, I mean, talking about the same thing, being proud to be a black man in America and the struggle that you have to deal with living in that.
Yeah, what's crazy about that song is when they were recording it at, I can't remember the name of the studio. I think it's Avast. But when they were recording it, they were like, oh, you got to get down here. You got to get down here. And I was in the middle of recording the next album. And so I got down there and Marshall was like, yo, we've been listening to a lot of funk and James Brown. And the inspiration for the song we want you on is I'm Black and I'm Proud. And I was like, that's crazy because the cover of Fulminate is based on like one of the OG pressings of I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown. If you like open it up and look on the inside cover, it's like James Brown's face looking up and it's a charcoal sketch. It looks exactly like mine. And that was what we based the album cover on and kind of the album. So I was like, this is like alley-oop for me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. So in that aspect, the song kind of wrote itself. Like they already had the verses already structured out and I went in the booth and wrote for like an hour and then that was that.
Just a visceral.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal. Like, you know how sometimes they gotta like almost like give you the tools to paint on the canvas. Right. And with this one, like they told me the inspiration of the song and I was like, I already got the tools for it, you know? So shout out to them.
Shout out them. They've been doing incredible things throughout the pandemic as well. Their float that they were performing on and everything, the jelly bean, yes. They drove by my shop actually and performed on it. And it's so funny because the other day I was playing that song and I had this couple come in and they just heard it and it was so funky and they were like, we're Black and we're proud and what is the song because we want to play this.
That's dope.
So it's definitely making waves with people. And you had mentioned that you're working on your new project and you have an EP that you were telling me about.
Yeah. So another thing that I've learned in 2020 is that I make a lot of music, but I don't release any of it.
So you hadn't released anything really until this year?
Yeah, exactly. So we have all of these, like, I don't want to call them scraps because like they're songs that I love, but they don't fit on like the upcoming projects that I plan to release, but I still wanted to put them out. So I grabbed 4 of just like bangers, you know what I'm saying, and put them together and called it the Silhouette EP. And it comes out tomorrow, December 7th. So super, super excited. I like one of the first songs it's the only song I've ever produced like myself. That song's called Boss. So I'm super like just excited for that because I've never done that before. And I like got the idea to like put this EP out like 2 weeks ago. So like it's like a very fast thing. Like I'm not trying to like worry about like every step and like plan and like really, really create a rollout. It's more of something like I really wanted to give back to people who have been supporting me. And I know I have a huge tendency to like hold on to music until I hate it. And I didn't want to do that with these songs. So yeah.
Fantastic. I'm super excited to hear that. Switching gears now to a little bit more of like serious topics. Part of the reason why we've come together and are doing this series is to highlight a lot of the issues in our local community, in particular with people experiencing homelessness. And I'm sure as somebody around the city, you've seen
Absolutely.
your fair share. What are your thoughts on some of the things that you think maybe as a community we can come together and help with, or come together, or something that needs to be put in place? Just do you have any thoughts or things that you've thought about that would help that community?
Yeah, a couple of things. And not even just with just homelessness, but I think just in America in general, I feel like we need a lot more mental health care. Like I feel like homelessness and psychiatric problems go hand in hand,
100%.
unfortunately. And a lot of people, I feel like they kind of slip through the cracks because like they're not mentally unstable to the point where like everything they say, like they're not like psychotic, you know what I'm saying? But like they are inhibited to the point where they can't like get a job because they need like that psychiatric help. But like they're also not to the point where they can like be checked in, but not like they're at the point where they need to be involuntarily checked in,
Right.
But like they still are kind of have cognizance to them. So it's like this weird 50-50 where they have free will, but like they really need to do these things. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like we need more mental health care. And I also feel like just the understanding with homelessness that like all of us, like almost everybody I know, we're like a bad accident away from being hella fucking broke. You know what I mean?
One paycheck away.
Yeah.
You miss one paycheck and you could potentially not be paying your rent.
Exactly. And I think that we have to come together with the understanding that like this could be us, you know? And I come from a background where like we were never homeless, but like we had the lights off, we had the water off, like we were very close to like not having a place to live. And I really try to like relate to that when I see people like out on the street. So I think those two things, I think are very important, more mental health care and just understanding that we're all like very close to being homeless in the society that we live in.
And just being in that environment can make your mental health just decline so rapidly.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people look at them and just see them using alcohol, using drugs, and really that's just their escape from having to think about the reality of their situation. And I, as well as you, I grew up very poor as well. And
yeah.
And just being in that environment all the time, even though my parents made it in a way that I was still raised well. I had a loving family around me, and that allowed me to grow and develop into a better person. But not everybody has that experience. A lot of the times it comes with a lot of other traumas, and so I 100% agree with you. Mental health is the only way to help people get out of those situations into a better lifestyle, and everybody in good lifestyles use other vices too, just like homeless people do. So 100% agree on what you were saying with that. And mental health is a super big factor in a lot of that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if like I feel like everybody needs like a mental health advocate, like
so.
Everybody that lives in the USA like needs a person that's like, yo, like what's going on, like,
yeah,
because like so many of us don't have that, or we're like the strong friend for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if everybody had I don't know what the term would be, but like
somebody
mental health advocate. Yeah, somebody that's like checking in. That would be super cool. I don't know how we would do that, but that would be
I
sick.
think it just goes back to just being for the people and for your community instead of for yourself and for profit. Just being about the livelihood of everybody, every person,
Yeah.
everything, plants as well. We treat plants so poorly. We spray everything with pesticides now, and plants are what give us life. And so I think if we just give back and get in touch with those things, we might be able to overcome a lot of these injustices. So
I agree.
on that note, do you have anything else that you wanted to add, say, put into it? Any other just like final closing thoughts?
Silhouette EP by me, Nobi. That comes out tomorrow, December 7th. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but you heard me say go listen to it, so go listen to it. Please. And I also have Fulminate vinyls for sale. You can hit my website up, nobisays.com. Please buy those. They were expensive. Outside of that, hi, Mom. I don't know. I think that's
Perfect.
it.
I think that was good.